Are we live? Yeah, I think we are. I'm gonna hope we are. I can't see anything. Right, live. No, okay, fair enough. I'll just take it. We're live. Welcome. This is the first live stream of the 2026 AQA Skeleton Code series. This is Ant Simulator, which I am actually warming up to this, both like the code and the ZigZag question. I'm very excited about this. We are getting into the sort of spicy zone. I'm doing them for the first time as well, and task 10 took me a little while to, I don't know if it was like more the task of the video, to be fair, but like to me a while to get right, because they're not really well specified. This one though is really good, because we're going to start using some corners of the code we've not really used so far, and that's kind of important because those are the corners of the code that are relevant to, you know, the bits that are likely to come on the test. So I've had a look at the electronic answer document, and there's a 5, an 8, and 2 12s, which is good because that means you don't have a 16 or a 14. I mean, if that doesn't mean anything to you, you've not been spending your time with the AQA paper 1 section D questions. All right, task 11. The concept of tracking data into the skeleton program to allow scientists, always those mysterious scientists, the efficiency of individual ants, of course, how many food units each individual ants deliver. There should be a comma here, together with the average amount, right? The scientists are interested in this and that, like the ants don't deliver. I mean, they deliver together, but right. You don't see them like in real life moving big things, whatever. That could be a thing. No, that could be a fun thing to do. That's not going to be a question. They're not going to ask you to get the ants to cooperate, but they're so, okay. So we want how many food units each individual ant delivers. Now, they say delivers, presumably it's the sum total of what they've delivered over their ant career, and then the average of all of the worker ants within a nest. Presumably also past and present, right? Because the statistics should continue to show data about an ant even after it's been culled. It means that if a dead ant has gotten 5, we still use the 5 in its total, because this is the average delivered across all ants alive, which is, I mean, this is implied because there's the simpler version to do. I can already tell there's going to be the simpler version to go about this. All right, so then there's the task brief. So copy this one, paste it, rename it into Z. Whoa! No, not this one. I want to take from the original. Always get back to the original, like on the day, because you don't want to like leave a broken thing and make several copies. Yeah, make sure you're editing the right file, because like all of the mistakes I'm making live on stream, you could kind of assume that under pressure you might be making those same mistakes. Paste it, yes, and rename it to Z11, and let's go. Okay, so still my mouse wheel is broken, which is like super annoying. In the simulation class, we have, so the way the ants deliver the food is in our good friend advanced stage, right? So first there's the pheromones deletion. I'm gonna not to use the bar. Pheromones, delete the pheromone, then all of the ant stuff. So this is right there. Yes, that's right. So they carry some food and they're at their own nest. And so they add the food to the nest. So actually we have a function for this. So let's go and look for this one. It looks like this is the place where ant change food, and this is where the food goes from the ants to the nest. So this is where, well, no, because this, well, I don't know. This itself, the function does not know about the stuff that it needs to, like the ant number, whereas where it's called, which is here, has the, minus a, oh, it's update get food carried. So we're gonna, what we need to do is like keep track of like, keep track of a tally of like, supplied food associated to each ant. I don't know if I'm doing a comments here, but like I'll see, because I'm coming back here. So the first thing they ask us is like, do you want the appropriate data structure? Can't remember where that was written. Yes, that's right. Use a suitable data structure in a simulation class to store how many food units each worker ant is individually delivering back to the nest. Yeah. So, of course, you know, probably some kind of list, but maybe not. Let's do the menu item, right? Just because that's we need to kind of be able to churn those out quite quickly, because whichever things you get asked, that's the good thing about something that's based on clicks and a menu every time. It's likely that it may involve, if it's a new thing, you'll need a new menu option. So for a new menu option, we want it in the display, and then it says 6 displays food stats. Display food delivery stats. Okay. And then the choices are in that main game loop here. So we just want another if. Choices equal to 6. By the time we're here, we have this simulation, which is this simulation, the simulation we're using. It shouldn't ask anything of the user. So it's just this simulation dot, and have they told us how it should be called? Display food delivery data. Yeah, which operates as described. Doesn't need to take any argument, but presumably because it's just a display accessor. It's an accessor and rendering wrapped into one. So all we need to do, so I've said that many times before, is yeah, just kind of make that method. But first, we do need a suitable data structure, modified advanced stage, to update the data structure. Ooh, right. Let's just have a look at the ant class though, because we need to kind of keep track of which ant, and it turns out that worker ant, this is their creation, this is their class, so we get food capacity, but there is this interesting thing in right, so the ant class, this is the thing I didn't want to change when I was doing the, I think it was the bird. I needed some methods from the ant class, and I needed them in the new class I was creating. And the way you would do this, if you don't want to start kind of like polluting your inheritance tree, I mean, I think that's the guideline generally, particularly in the exam specs actually, is you favor composition over inheritance. So this means you create an instance of the objects you need the methods of. But in an instance, those methods should actually be class methods or whatever. And I didn't want to do this because this would have kind of clicked this along, and that it's not a real ant. The point is that we keep track, this is the next ant ID, and we have self_ID. Self_ID is not new to ant, it's actually something that comes from there. So we have a get ID. There's a reason this is there already, because clearly, you know, you'll have it, because that's not used anywhere in the code. So you look for methods that are not used anywhere in the code, and you're like, well, presumably there's going to be something that it's going to be used with the new code. You're going to be asked on the morning of the 10th of June. So I'm going to use this to get the ant ID, fair enough, it's called get ID, it's an accessor, and associate this to an entry, a place in my data structure. Now you might think that because those are between 0 and 10, 0, these are numerical, going to start at 0 in increments, sorry, yeah, the 0 or whatever, a list would be suitable, and you could be right. The problem with a list, I think, well, I don't know actually. If I just do, oh, that's not class. If I just do L is equal to this, and if I say that's the empty list. Now I can, if I append stuff into L, I'm fine. You know, this is how we proceed. But I can't do like L, create the first element by saying L0 becomes equal to 1. Because L0 does not exist. This is a linked list, so although it's less like super restricted than an array, one constraint you do have is that you need to, you know, you can only edit elements. Appending is one thing, but like editing an element, you can't use the syntax to append. You could, of course, overload the operator to kind of catch this and then append it if the thing could work and, you know, whatever, but there's a much better way about this, is that this is not the case if you use a dictionary. Right, as if I say D0 is equal to 1, Now my D has get thing, and I can access it like this. Now this might not look like a dictionary to you. Well, I mean that this syntax does, but like ultimately this will behave exactly like a list in that all of my keys are going to be numbers, and I'm going to remember starting at 0 and just like incrementing upwards exactly like the indices in a list or an array. But this gives me some flexibility. It gives me big dict energy. I'll never not making that joke. Because it's year 13, you can get away with it. I wouldn't do that at GCSE, the class just goes crazy and it's nightmare. So I'm going to use a dict. That's the suitable data structure. Bear that in mind if you ever need to do something with stats or actually need just some quite flexible data structure. So in my simulation class, I'm going to say self dot underscore. You know what? I'm going to call them. I'm just going to call them stats, because they're food delivery stats, but at the moment I'm going to have one type of stats in my code at any given time, so this is so much simpler having like with the capitals, delivery. Mind you, now that I'm actually recording with OBS, as I did task 10 this morning, Visual Studio Code runs much quicker, particularly the tab autocomplete, than when I was using Google Vids, which is always pretty okay. It's such a shame it took them the prospect of slop to make a decent competitor to CapCut. Although I see on the mobile they have something called YT Create, which again I need to check out a bit deeper. I'm getting distracted already. Right, so we have now an empty dictionary that will store statistics. No, we have an empty dictionary. Let's make that explicit, right? An empty dictionary that will store the statistics. Why do we need to use a dictionary, Zach? I just showed it a minute ago. If I just, it's still in my console, right? If I have an empty list, I can't add something to the list by saying, now put this in the first slot at index 0. Whereas with an empty dictionary, I can. I suppose I could append them, but then I would, my point is that I don't want to, because if I use a list, every time I create an aunt, in order to have a simple update function, or I suppose I could look it up, but it's going to make the code so much simpler. But if you get a list, you get to figure out whether it's a new aunt that we like the first time the aunt is born is doing some work with for the nest, or it's an aunt we already have in the stats. You don't want the aunt class to have to kind of mess around the simulation, and the simulation is not going to know exactly when every aunt is born, because that is done by the queen, but in the nest class. That's your answer, Zach. So anyway, we're going to use a dict. That's the suitable. So they're saying suitable data structure. The point is like you can do anything with a dict. You can do everything you could do with a list. So just in case, when in doubt, if they say suitable, you're like, I'm going to use a dict. And the point is, I think we can have a look at mark schemes, but I'm sure that they will allow everywhere a list. They expect you to put a list. They will also allow a dict. So as a rule of thumb, is like well, don't kind of go crazy. But I don't think you can go wrong. When in doubt, if you're not sure, a dict is always a safe choice. So I have my now empty dictionary, and then all I'm doing in my here, I keep track of the food associated with the ent. So associated with the, that's why I stopped there, because I've not explained the ent ID. The ents, well, the workaround. So how do I do this so it's both kind of oop and English? Apostrophe S, the workarounds, and then dot notation. Well, actually, it's underscore ID. Maybe underscore. I don't care. I've got a getter. Look, so we won't be doing this before we've, or in between, right? But before we've updated the food carried, because this is going to change the return of this. So I go get food carried, and I just say self dot underscore stats at index at dot get ID. Okay, yeah, still have a problem, right? Because it's like, I want to do this, but there needs to be a value. I think there needs to be a value in the stats dictionary at the key that is there. And I'm not sure about this because of the very problem that made me think that's why that's why we got the list. I wish you hadn't deleted your message, Zach, because I think, to be honest, I don't have chat replay on anyway. So like it just people watching on the replay. Let me just check, right? So I have a D0, but I don't have a D1. So if I say D, that's not going to work. I can tell it's not going to work already. Yeah, that's not going to work. But if I do D.get1, Get is helpful because if the key does not exist, oh, sorry, that's because it's returned none. If I say 1 and then 0, that's going to return 0. If the key does not exist, it gives you a way of defaulting it. If I go and look for a key that exists, so the key 0 does exist, this is going to return 1. So this is going to return me either the value, right? If I choose like get dot at the ID of my end. So if instead of this I do stats.get at ent ID. I learned this on my first day as a professional Python dev because I was just accessing things and I was like, well, how do I know if it's the thing's there or not? And like Nuno was like, well, just get. I'm like, all right. I guess I learned this language like last month, so to get the job. So yeah, get ID, and so we default this to 0, which means that well, actually I need to plus self dot underscore stats. Forgive me. Becomes equal, no, at key a get ID becomes equal to itself or 0 if it doesn't exist. That's what the get does, plus a dot get the amount of food that's on the arms back. Actually, it's already in the nest, to be fair, but well, come on, it's like right there. Oh, because it doesn't know, yeah, the ID does not know the type of A because we don't, this is not written with type hinting, which is quite frustrating, considering the other languages will be actually probably strictly type. It's really unfair on the Python people to not use the features of Python 3.11 that does type winning, but like, you know, what do I do? I'm not AQA. I'm kind of trying to mark for them. I think they might start next year. I certainly hope they don't check my social media. Well, I don't know. I think maybe they get me on the... Maybe actually, you know, I could work for Craig and Dev for the ZigZag. Yeah, if you're good at something, never do it for free. Anyway, right, so what I'm doing here, after I've transferred the food to the nest, I tally it in the stat by looking up as like, do I have, like, using this to create or update whatever I've got, the stats I have for this ant, going by its ID, using getID, which the ant class inherits from entity, and then setting this to itself plus the amount of food that just got transferred to the nest. And then I'm back here where I just kind of take the food off, in that the food gets duplicated into the nest and then taken off the back of the ant, technically. And in the middle, we tally it up. This should populate the data structure. What I'm going to do is just put a breakpoint here and demo it by, ooh, I don't need this, don't need this, don't need it, don't need that. And run and debug. It's actually pronounced debugger. Debugging is the process of removing bugs from the code. Do you know how the process of adding bugs to the code is called? Programming. Yes, I find a way of putting the watch list. I'm so happy. You just kind of drag and drop it, I guess, right? Can I not put it back? Yeah, super. Okay, simulation number 1, and I'm just guessing I'll just gonna advance by 10, and there we go. Yeah, so we already stopped. So I'm just gonna wanna put a thank you. Self underscore stats. Cool. So far it's an empty dict, and boom, a worker enters no object attribute getID. So that's because it's not an attribute, it's meant to be a method. Did I not put the brackets? Line 261, let me just real quick, Control B, Control J, Control G, 261, know your shortcuts. Okay, you have me stumped. I'm pretty sure that class worker ant, which inherits class ant, which is right above, actually class inherits class ant, which inherits class entity, which I was kind of given to believe. It's kind of given. Oh, but. Right, fine. Don't worry. The problem is that in between worker ant and aren't, is that can't be the problem. Why is that not? Wait, where's the, hold on, I can find the type of A from my debugger. Yeah, A equal main.workaround, right, which surely has a function variable. Is that, this is where it gets reaching the limits of the, let me just zoom out a little bit. Yeah, so it has got all of those methods. I don't know if you can see, but I can. Get ID, burn method, what? Okay, so you're tripping. Let's put A. No, we had A. I was just looking at A. Unless I'm reading that too fast. Hold on, and one of them doesn't have the bracket or something. So it's this one. Oh no. Oh, get ID. Oh, so this one, they're all kind of in Pascal case, except this is it ID? Sorry, class entity. Get ID, yeah, the capital D. Right. Well, that's helpful. I talk about a big D, man. All right. Okay. Back in here, run and debug. I was trying to figure out, like, I want to see the stats. Okay, I'm gonna put this back here and zoomy. Right, so far nothing. 1, and then let's have forward by 50 stages, whatever. Okay, yeah, well, that's not helpful because, you know, fine, if you're gonna want to be here, I'll just put you back here, but if, okay, we get A, I'm happy with that, yeah, right. So the first one to hit the thing is at number 4, right? So if we had a list, we'd be in trouble because then I do create elements up until 4. It's kind of, yeah. Then it's 3 with 2, then it's 5 ID and so on. And like, and then look at that. Some of them gets like clicky and yeah, look at that. I'm loving this. It's lovely. Oh no. Oh, this is amazing. I've like, this was, because the last two have been like a struggle. Maybe it's Google Vids is the problem. To paraphrase, very approximately paraphrase Taylor Swift. Dr. Tay. Look at that, how they all kind of think. Oh, what's happening now? Am I not? Oh, so I'm back here. Yeah, cool. All right, so sure. So that part works. I'm kind of not mad about this. Sorry, this is the American not mad. I have picked that up from a synfluencer. It's like an influencer for synthesizer. Okay. Yeah. Fold this, fold that. Now, let's display the, this is way too big though. Yes, so far I've not actually written the new method I promised that I would need to write because this is the display one. So display one is just going to be rendering the dictionary and then the average. So I think there's like a pretty print. Or maybe, do I need to import this on something? I can't remember. Right, whatever, it's a new method, so... I suppose after advanced stage, because it's kind of option number 6 and 4 and 5 call on advanced stage. So inside the... So I'm inside the class here, right? This is where I kind of I'm just frustrated by the fact it's 4 space indent, but I've got my tab is still mapped to 2 spaces, as if Visual Studio can't detect that. That's the name of the thing. It doesn't take any argument, but of course it's a method, so it will take the self and just no. On here, maybe 1 page down. Cool. I just wanted some breathing space. To display the food delivery data, we are going to well, let's play around. I think I can. So you may know about sorted. See it. So let's say we had a dictionary that's, well, no, not in that order. 3 is 4, and 4 is 5. This is imaginative. And then 2 is 0, for instance. so sorted D will only return, is it D sort? That's just the keys though, so it's kind of like it's translated into a list before doing, well actually this sorts the keys, and I can say for dictionary comprehension is actually a new thing in Python 3 something. I was quite excited by this retrospectively. I never got the chance to use them for work. If I can do the key, a dictionary comprehension, so I want the key associated to what is in dictionary D at the key, the value, that value, for K in sorted D. Look how Pythonic AF this is. Boom. And this gives me that dictionary, but sorted by order of key. Oh my god, in one line. This is such a flex though. I don't know if... let's not sort them, because ultimately we want to please the marker, and like I think this might confuse them, but maybe I'll just kind of keep it. I'll kind of maybe comment it out, something like that. Right. So in let's just do for K in. I think I've just do for K in self, like for K in the dictionary, because then if you pass something as an iterator, so this like the in of a for expects a list, and if you pass a dict to something that expects a list, the soft typing of Python will automatically make it cast to its list of keys. So in that instance, it's going to be the end IDs. So we want to print there's a way of doing like some percentage thing to do with the tabbing int ID, well, so like I mean ID total, and then for K in self stats print f string curly K space hyphen and curly self dot underscore stats at for key K, like the value in the dictionary for the key being K, and then actually also gonna so there's, I mean, there's a way of doing an average that's quicker, but like this can, you know, but like for, you know, it's also kind of, can you do an average like in GCSE? So to do an average, you have to, don't use, I think sum might be a reserved keyword, so don't use sum. I mean, you can, but you can end up renaming a Python function. So if I for total, it starts at 0, and then as I print them, I also dot plus equal dot plus equal self dot underscore stats. No. Server underscore stats again at K. And then at the end of this, I just gonna aperture that's equal to dot divide length of K, right? If K, because the dictionary is still empty. If you ask this, like when the dictionary, well, the dictionary should never be empty. No, it is, because before we only start putting things up when the ants start bringing the food in, not when the ants are born. So if K else 1, that's going to be 0 anyway, if it's not, right? And in here, I'm going to print f string avg hyphen curly avg, small avg, that variable I just calculated. And that should pretty much be it. This is going to be the sort of basic version. Let's see if that works. Ooh, moment of truth. Okay, submission number 1, and I guess we're just kind of advancing. No, they're asking us kind of to advance in bulk, I hope. See, I thought I had a problem where when I advanced in bulk, all of the elm died, but that's just because the thing is not balanced. Of course, they're going to end up starving. There's nothing to, there's no, there's only a finite amount of food. They continue to show data after about an enter skull. Sorry, it's too tiny to be able to read. Right, 5, 10, 6. Boom. Oh, sorry, that's not K. That's the length of the dictionary, length of self-underscore stats. If self-underscore stats. I don't know why I went for K, because that was just the last thing in my head. Didn't flush the buffer. Boom. 1, 5, 10, 6. Okay, let's have a look at this. All right, oh, there's a big worker. I mean, it's interesting that so 3 isn't what I could add as well. Let's just jump, like, bounce on this a little bit. I can't. Well, I could. I'm trying to, well, I could, let's do the, key column self._stats at key for key in sorted self stats. So that's going, this is now going to sort them by ant ID. Hopefully. So let's do the same thing, 10 and then 6 to display the stats. Ooh, is that more or less than the previous? Let's go. Oh, and 3 is absolutely slaying it, but that's not, yeah, it is sorted by ID, although I guess some of the earlier ones are dead. I'm surprised I don't see. Yeah, they should start at, I don't, I mean, even the previous one. 2, well, are they already dead? Can they die that quickly? Let's take it a bit slower then. So let's quit that. Run again, simulation number 1, but this time, does this crash if there's nothing? No, average 1, 6. No, average total 1. Don't like the 1. I think that's because I didn't put the brackets around the right place. I should have. Then I should just make that 0 actually in wherever it was. Yeah. So this is going to be the else. It's going to else. Like it reads that if it's seems to. You can do this in Python, right? Kind of like you can put an if else kind of in line, but that condition this whole expression rather than just that bit. I wanted to divide by 1, so L0 is how we do it. But what I wanted to do is see if I can. Well, I guess maybe some don't ever make it back to the nest if they're kind of like looking for food forever. Yeah, they can just die out in the wilderness. Oh, it's a cruel world in the ant world. Okay, so here I have them now sorted by ant ID, which is nice. Point is that like they are dead ends, and so some ants will never make it to the total. I don't know if we want them with a 0 next to it. That's depending on. I mean, we'd have to kind of interpret the letter of the question. Okay, let's see. Each individual ants delivers together with the average amount delivered by all the worker ants within a nest. Shoot. Yeah, this means we actually need to have them when they're at 0. Oh my god. Okay. Well, that would be is that a little bit more difficult? Yeah, we need to keep track of all of the ants, even those that haven't delivered any food. So my clever thing with the dictionary that I've kind of engineered the whole code around, technically may not answer the question. But the way the ants are created, I mean, this is a whole. We can do the initial ones fairly easily, right? Kind of set up a nest stat, we'll do that. They set up the queen and then does an enter, but this is when the worker ant is created. when we do that, we can start, like, you know, add an entry into, like, initialize the. I can still use a dictionary that way. I don't have to rewrite the whole code, whatever. But I kind of initialize it at getID. That works. And actually, I should probably, I guess, do this as well. I mean, if you have a look at all of the places where worker_ont is created, because it's in here when we initially set them up, but also the code where the queen is laying eggs and birthing aunts is also creating worker_ont. This is the definition. That's the one. So this is where I would probably need. I mean, it's not too much of a. Sorry, it's not actually too much. Well, no, because there's no. The problem is that this bit of the code, I am in nest here, right? I'm in the advanced stage method of the nest class. And so this does not know about the stats. So I could pass the stats to the I could pass the stats to the advanced stage of the nest, probably the most the simplest, and kind of the way I can just, like, self stats. I don't. The alternative would be to, when we come back from this, right, then have to check self_ans, see if anything has changed, figure out which one they are, because remember, self_ans is just a flat list. Now, of course, that's going to match their ID of their creation most of the time. I don't know if I can be as simple as that. I guess they're going to be appended to the end, so I can look for new stuff in the ends array, but I think it's probably going to be simpler. All right, well, let's do the first one first, right? Kind of like this one, simples, because I'm still in the simulation class. So I just do self_stats at index I'm just going to put this into a little variable, right? So I can append the stats at a.getId, get it, and I initiate this with 0 for this particular aunt, and same deal in this one. No, this one, yeah. Take this, becomes A, just A, A becomes equal to this, and then here I'm going to have stats at a.getID, capital D, starts at 0. The thing is stats. I now expect this. I suppose I decided that the simplest way. I don't know what's the cleanest design pattern. I think this is a little bit above and beyond for year 13 here. I would pass the stats here, because it's a child class, right? We can play with the signature. We're overriding it anyway, so, you know, it's polymorphism technically. Don't know why it leaves me so unsettled. And so when we call it, now that I know I should have a wiggly in advanced stage of the simulation class, because that's not how you. Well, it doesn't know because it's not recognized as a nest object here. But here I need to pass self_stats here. And now if I do this, the code's going to behave very, very differently, I expect. Ten stages, and then let's. I must have initialized this with the wrong thing in some place. Okay, let's just put a, well, like last time. Do we still have a breakpoint? Actually, the breakpoint's still in the same place. If I run and debug it, where's the breakpoint? Yeah, exactly, exactly where I want it. So, what's happening? Where am I? Is it here? Oh no, okay, we're already in the run and debug, debug console, number 1, and advance many stages, and say 10. Okay, well, look at this. No, we have nothing. We just have that's because the ont ID starts at 1, because they'll start indexing everything at 1 to make it, you know, human readable and force you to think about your boundaries and stuff. And of course, ant number 1, the first one is always the queen, but still, it worked. Now we see 0, so we see ants even if they're not brought anything, which is helpful. So that's one, not an improvement, but actually kind of making it work like the question asked. Not here. Okay, but display food delivered data, yeah. What if I wanted to show if the ant is alive or not? And I can do this. This is a flex now, but I think I can do this in one line. I am in the simulation class, right? So I have a server underscore ant. Yeah, I want this in between curlies though. Well, it doesn't tell me really anything, but I would like to say no, actually, this is going to be inefficient. Elegant but inefficient. Okay, in this is just a boolean, right? And in a list comprehension made of a dot get ID for a in self ant. The problem is that this list is going to be recomprehended and regenerated every time, every line of the display. But what this does is going to basically get a list of IDs, express the ants self underscore ants list, but as a list of ant IDs as we have them as IDs. And then if k is in there, this is going to be evaluated to true, otherwise false. And this is going to tell us whether the ant is dead or alive. Which I think is a pretty nifty bow to put on it. No, not a debugger. I'm just a regular old bugger. Please. Oh, I forgot to say about the tiny URL /ant sim live class. Yeah, I'll put that something in the description. Maybe I'll add an overlay. I'm just very bad at self-promotion, or even promotion in general of anything. Okay, advance by 10, and now if I do a 6, it crashes. But still. Oh yeah, because I had this problem that I forgot how to fix that. It's meant to fix this bug. What I wanted to do is Sorry, I had checked. So I stopped debugging too soon. Actually, I was meant to check something else when I was running debug, because I checked start at 0. I got worried about the 2, but that was fine. But why does it crash when it's trying to do sorted? Because some of the keys for some reason are not. I think I've not used get ID right. This is exactly what would happen if I had used get ID in my code, not in the terminal, but without the not here. It's not mine. Yeah, like here, right here. What? Come on. This one. Yeah. We want to call get ID, not put the method in there. This is the kind of a classic signature of this kind of problem. This is also the kind of thing you forgot when you're under pressure in exam conditions. So like, don't forget your bracket. All right. No. 1, 5, 10. Cool. Now let's display it, and this one doesn't crash, and they're all alive, which is a bit sus. But what do I know? Let's do I have like so many ants? Okay, no, it's a thriving colony. Who am I to judge? Advanced by number 10 stage, and I believe we'll be laughing a little bit less. No, they're still all alive. This is crawling with ants. Disgusting. How is there still so much food on the map? Just starve, you bastards. Okay, but how about the stats? Surely if they... Oh, here we go. We get some dead ants. We got a lot of dead... Oh, wait, all of the ants are dead now. Well, that happened quickly. Oh, and they've not even found the last food. Wow, tragic. Well, okay, so that was task 11 plus plus. Let's have a look at the diff. I think I still have the... Oh no, okay, I don't have the original as the original. Select for compare. Compare with selected. Now, in this diff, which is now over here, except it's annoying because my screen's that way, so like when I'm in that corner, it kind of works because it looks like I'm looking at the code, but okay, whatever. So in this, let's take it from the top. And I don't need that anymore. Okay, so new display, new menu item, which we first need to display in here, and then handle the choice. All this does is call a new method, delivery, display food delivery data or whatever. They've given us the name. I don't choose the name. In the simulation class, we only have one instance of it. This simulation. That's it for the main. In the simulation class, we initialize an empty dictionary for the stats. Now, because of the way I have done it, it means that we could. I'm pretty sure this would still work if I replace this, if I did an empty list here. Just quickly, I know I'm in diff mode, sorry, just fine, okay, fine. Just real quick. No, maybe not, what do I know? Maybe not, yeah, no, sorry, because we might not create them in the right order. So actually that won't work, it does need to be an empty dict, and this was... Yeah, so this solution will only work if for this particular code. It's more complex if you wanted to store it in the list. That's why the dict is the appropriate data structure. Now, this is enhanced this time because we initialize the dict, but also we need to initialize its individual elements at different keys. Where am I now? In diff mode. In diff mode, at different keys. Every time a worker ent is created upon the setup of the nest, we first need to put into a little variable and then initialize its the entry in the dictionary whose key is the ID of this ant at 0. Nothing changed here. Got my comment, and this was fairly elegant, right? Because it's what we do is that the content, the value of the dictionary becomes equal to itself. Now this is where I don't need the get because I know they're all going to be initialized, so I can just do plus equal. And this, let me check again to say I'm not lying to you, right? It still works to everyone's considerable displeasure. Submission number 1, thank you. 5, 10, 6. We still have 19, yeah, they're all alive. I'll probably do all die at the same time because when the food runs out, no, we start culling them randomly when the food runs out. I can't remember. I'd have to see the arc of death. Anyway, back to diff mode. So yeah, we now just kind of do a plus equal for increment to increment with the food carried in, which is in the again advanced stage, the big loop on all of the ants, and then the display food delivery data header initialize the total for the average calculation, and then for each of the keys in a sorted list of dictionary keys of the stats dictionary, the total gets, we kind of tally into, we accumulate, if you know this part of the specification, into an accumulator register, as it were. We add this in there, and then we print k, which is the ent ID, because those are the keys in the dictionary, in the stats dictionary, the value of the stats, which is the sum of everything they've carried over their life, and whether they're alive or not, thanks to this little trick, which I think is quite elegant. A list comprehension to actually get a list of ant IDs, although it should be normally just a range, kind of going starting at 0. No, actually starting at 2, right? Because the queen, and then if you start getting some other queens, because because you're in a simulation with more nests than one. So I've seen what they, because they have created simulation when there's more than one nest, right? But they do say that as it currently the program doesn't handle more than one nest simulation. That's because all of the culling code, when the nest, like the ants, are not correctly associated to their nest when you look as to whether they can feed them, because it should be about the food that's available in each nest rather than kind of being shared across the map. And then if one nest starves, it might kill, because it's removing random ones in the ants list, it might kill. In fact, that might be that could be fix this bug. I don't know. I can't remember what they. I don't think I've seen last year's on Target Clear, so I don't know if they do a kind of very blatant. There's the bug and then fix this bug. Well, I think it's the first time I've seen. You know, it's not guaranteed to work type thing. So can you always change a list into a dict? I don't see what I will do something on the mark schemes. The question really is when on the mark schemes in this kind of questions, if you need a list in a question, they will have, oh, they've created a list or created an appropriate data structure. So if the mark scheme, because anything a list can do, a dict can. Like you can use the same syntax, you swap the variable, when you initialize it, your code will work the same way. But the dict can do much more. Now the only question really is like, it's not a technical question, it's a marking question. And the question is like, do the mark schemes typically say, you know, accept a dictionary? And if that's not the case, then you won't. But I'm almost sure it is the case, because it's, you know, because from a technical perspective, anything you can do with a list, you can also do with a dict in Python. Hence, big dict energy, which, sorry I did that again, but like I've seen some of the new people, yeah boy cabs. Oh, I remember you. This is very, well, thank you, great teacher. No, not my words, the words of yeah boy cabs. All right, let's wrap this up. Sorry, yeah, this was pretty. I like this. This is not, by the way, those are curly braces for an F strings, right? It's not a dictionary, not like the dictionary comprehension like here when we get the sorted one. But there is a list comprehension and then the use of in, which is a true or false, yeah, kind of an operator between something and a list. And if the thing is in the list, not very difficult. Then we do the average by dividing the length of cell stat. Now I use a little Pythonic thing here to say, to make sure that I don't need this anymore, because now I know that my simulation starts with a starting nest, which will start with starting ons, and the moment the starting ons are created, we have something in the dictionary, meaning that the dictionary is, we know the length is never going to be null, meaning that I'm not risking dividing by 0, so I can just actually remove this. But you can do if else inline in Python, but like if you don't use that or know that, there's no need to worry yourself about this late in the game. Cool. And I think there's a bit more at the bottom, which is, yes, we need to accept the stats dictionary. I was about to say array, the stats data structure in the advanced stage of the nest, because the advanced stage of the nest is where the queen lays eggs that could potentially become worker ants is located. So here, same deal, we put in the variable, we append it to the ants array that we got in from the simulation class, but we also would have gotten a stats array. To be fair, the ants is not an ants array, it's an ants list, right? We append it to the data structures we got there, and just like that, we also modify it in place. So dictionary, of course, like list, like anything that is not a very basic type, is passed by reference, meaning that the changes you make here are we initialize at 0. The changes you make here are done in the actual data structure, because it's the reference of it. And that's an hour. Oh, very nice, kind of like nice and tight. Thank you. Can I just go back to this? The middle. Wow, not make much difference. I just want to put a good word for my form about, let me just not do this here, just real quick. It's tinyurl.com/ontsimliveclass. Some of you have already responded, I know, but I have a little, oh, sorry, I'm sharing the window, not the screen. So yeah, you're not going to be able to see that on the screen. I will put a link in the description. I can write it here, actually, in the very top. And yeah, so it's, wow. Do you want the HTTPS? No, you're not going to be pasting it in, right? So if you go to tinyurl.com/live, no, wait, it's ontsimlive class, and I make that massive and put it to the top. Oh, put it at the top of this. Let me just go back because I was in the wrong thing. No, it's oh, that's too low. Can I just make that? Oh no, that's too low now. It's this one. Okay, Ant Sim Live class. This is just a form so you can register your interest. I will then send an invite and so on. They're going to be at different times. Briefly explain the whole code. Sure, why not? Once I'm done, I am done here. But if you want to be doing this, like you can be asked. I'm guessing like there's no. I mean, if you want to have the cameras on, it's up to you. But like I'll probably, I don't know, the degree of control I'll have to over the display. But it's really so if you can like interrupt and ask questions. But like you have to come with like specific questions, specific tasks in the ZigZag stack. But that's not going to be for a couple of weeks because I want to finish like the daily videos of the tasks. And then we'll get into the extensions. I see someone is interested about the extension tasks. So, someone in the chat at Aditya Baliga -x6v, I like the -x6v, is asking, can I briefly explain the whole code once I'm done? So let's have a look at the whole code. I want the actual original, not my diff to the original. Let's just save this and close it. Orange. Okay, there's your whole code. So main, fairly basics, just kind of, what is your choice? You get some simulation number. We had some early tasks that are about this. That's so far, so GCSE, choice menu, and there's the next one to exit the menu. There's very little input validation. You may have some tasks about this. There was like a whole stack of tasks, like task 4 was like a 4-parter on input validation. You get videos on this in the playlist. That's the best way to learn the whole code, frankly, is to do the task, because this is how I learned it, right? Like I wouldn't have been able to explain the whole code when I did the intro of the code video, and I think I can do like what I've learned at task 10 or 11, I am now, right? And then maybe another one at 20, I think it goes up to 20 or whatever, like at the very end, like there'll be kind of touch up on the code at regular intervals because I'm learning as I'm doing the task. So certainly what I've learned is that the main, nothing massively sexy. There's a couple of like top level functions, so they're just like global functions in the namespace. Sure, why not? So get choice and get self-reference. Why? It's interesting that get self-reference would be here, because I guess like more than plenty of classes, well, I don't know, actually, it's interesting. Get cell reference, you pass it a pair of row and number. Oh, sorry, that's because it's an input control, so that's within the main. It's not like it's not because there's something where you pass a row and column and it gives you like the index, so that's get cell index, that's in the simulation class. Then the meat of the simulation, well, I don't know, like the whole overarching logic is in the simulation class. There's only one instance of this class running at any moment in the code. You have nests, aunts, pheromones, and grid are critical lists, which are dynamic and change. The rest is kind of globals inherited from the parameters. This has a lot of, so the best way to actually display this would be here. This is actually pretty helpful if you're sitting the exam on VS Code. You can, there's a lot of, frankly, by the time you scroll through all of this, I like to Control F class something or def something to find what you're looking for. But the simulation has got a whole bunch of stuff. Those are its attributes. So those are kind of static. The only dynamic things are a bunch of lists for other objects. So grid will have cells, pheromones will have pheromones. Yeah, I've not looked too much into pheromones. I don't think they have their own object. Pheromones will have some data that captures like the pheromone value. It's set. Is there a class pheromone? Yeah, maybe there is. I don't know. I've not. We can find out actually. Workaround nest pheromone. No, there is a class pheromone. So we've not touched it so far in the first 10. And then a whole bunch of functions that set up the nest, add food to cell. This is the one that turns, because it's in its grid. Like the grid is a flat list. That's really, they don't use a 2D data structure to represent a 2D grid, which is often common in AQA. In fact, I don't know if I've ever seen them use a 2D data structure, and that may be because like Python is so different from the other supported languages in the way you can deal with this, because there's no arrays, there's only linked lists. But this takes you from row and column in the grid to the index in the index in the grid array. If you need the other way around, you just get the cell element of the grid list. Sorry, I say array every time, and then use its get row, get column, which are getters on the entity class. Get indices of neighbor, this is used for the ent motion, but again it's in the simulation so that the ants don't know about the rest of the thing, so only the simulation has got the visibility. That's why it's got so many methods, because it does some stuff that's for the nest, that's for the ants, but like the classes themselves, because of encapsulation, really, unless you pass them arguments like nest, ants, pheromones, for all of those advanced stage, kind of need to, you know, kind of don't know about the rest of the simulation. So this is for the ants motion as well. Get nest in cell, I guess, is to get the nest in the cell. You notice it's public, update ants pheromone in cell. That's public as well, I'm not sure why. Yeah, I can't say. Of course, that this kind of public vague thing for number of ants, number of pheromones, because the ants, like all of those objects, ants, pheromones, food. Well, food are actually an attribute on the cell entity, on the cell class object, but pheromones, ants, nests as well, only really share their, like there's no way of knowing their share allocation really, because you need to compare their row and column one by one, so you use the get same location of entities. So getting the number, like from the cell object, getting back to how many ants are there, the cell object is not going to know. You need to figure out, you know, what's the row and column of this, and then look across all of the ants and find the ones that are at those row and column, and same deal for the pheromones. So that's why you have the ones to find out like how many ants are there, and like number of pheromones was the strongest pheromone. Get details, that's to print, that's option 1 in the menu. This is option, I guess, 2 or 3, I can't remember, but the other one, where you get, you know, the user will input the corners of the area. Add food to nest, that's used to add food to the nest. We need that public. Get cell details, same deal, right? Kind of current cell. This is for, this is to print. This is option 3. I remember now, right? Because like this is, they will give you all of the bits you need about, you know, the details of what's going on in the cell. An advanced stage. This does really the simulating, because this can support more than one stage at a time, but this will clean up pheromones, make the pheromones decay, get all of the ants to move around according to, you know, the ants can pick up some food, the ants can drop some food in the nest. Like, so this is what we were making stats about today. And then after that, if they move, if they carry food, they add pheromones. And this is the ants picking up the food, and then choose the cell to move to. The ant will decide what to do, you know, whether it's moving back towards the nest because it's got food, or if it doesn't have food, is there a strong pheromone, like a pheromone around or not, and will choose to move accordingly. And then you get another big loop. So, you know, those are the 3 stages of, this is the pheromones, this is the deletion trick, which is present in many a video because it's across all tasks and so on. And then you get the actual game objects, which is like, there's no detail. Some stuff you need to know is really kind of entity. This is going to be your best friend, because that's really the only way you can figure out where 2 things are in the same place. And everything inherits, that's in the simulation, inherits from entity. The other thing you need to know about is that the nest is in charge of managing the food, like feeding the ants, making sure there's enough food in the nest to feed the ants, and making ants die if there's not enough food in the nest to feed them. In fact, with the skeleton code you were given, that's the only way the ants can die, because we've not made the bird, we've not made weather, storms, and we've not made, I don't know, the ants die of old age as well, which was happening in an early task. And the other thing this does is have the queen lay eggs. And so the queen can spawn queen, which are going to, of course, magnify the queen never die. Can the queen die? Actually, to be fair, yeah, the queen can die if in the culling, because the culling is done at random, and the queen can die. So the queen, you know, like colony collapse can happen any given time. I'm quite curious as to whether, you know, you can speed run the thing through it and see. There's no way, I mean, ultimately, because there's no way of injecting food into the simulation, right? If you let the simulation run for long enough, all the ants will die. So that's a very nice way to end this. And this was briefly explained all the code once I'm done, but now for reals, I am actually done. Let me just move them a little bit. Oh, now I look down upon all of you. Yeah, I'm playing around in OBS. So thank you very much for watching. So back. Thank you very much for watching. Am I doing the heart right? No, not the kids. They do it with the. I don't know, because like you guys are Gen Z, so it's delicate to see whether is that the thumb one. There's this one. Yeah. There will be more of these, and again, if you would like to be on one of these but live, I don't have it in here. I have it in Z11, but the link is in the description. It's tinyurl.com/on-sim live class. Anyway, and if you, remember the best way to kind of learn this is to just like repeat the task, and if you're confused, kind of follow the series. I was intimidated and was super annoyed by the code at first, and just having done those, which really have spent as long a time as they are the total running time of the videos I've made, plus let's say doubled for the rehearsal, and like, forget about task 10, because it's just a some problem, maybe tripled, all right? So far I've not looked at the amount of the duration replaced, but then again, I was kind of like a professional software engineer for more than 10 years. But my point is that now I know a lot more what goes on in the code and what to look for, and this is the kind of state you want to get to so that you're ready on the day. And then we'll do some kind of tactical stuff about like the type of exam questions they do, how they are marked, because there's a way of getting a lot of mark, even like failing completely to do the task, and that's important to notice. And so that's basically exam technique, as well as speculation as to really, once we've done all of the possible tasks and then really know the code well, what is going to be the five mark question. I think that usually is already an entry level input validation type thing. What's going to be, I'm giving it away, what's going to be the 8 marker, and like what could be the 2 12 markers. But we still get a lot of time for this, since there's still more than 1 month. Yeah, only the nerds and the teacher's pets are watching this, because there's still a whole month before the actual